Hi. The next step in tying tzitzis is getting your shirt ready, making sure that we have 4 holes, one in each corner of the shirt, and making sure that they're actually big enough to put our strings through. We then take those same strings that we had in the baggies, take one set of it at a time, put the rest of the side, and we undo the slip knot. On the side where all of the strings are the same length, remember we have 3 short and 1 long. So we're going to take one side where all of them are together and try to get the tops of the strings to be all the same height, making sure that our package of strings is actually 3 short and 1 long, because sometimes people make mistakes, and that's okay. Basically, once we have the heads together, we put them through the hole in the shirt on one corner. Sometimes if they get stuck, we can use a little bobby pin to pull them through. And once we have them through, we fold them over the corner of the shirt and make sure that we now have 8 strings, 7 of them short, 1 of them long. We want to get our 7 short strings to be relatively the same length as they are here. Once we have them at the same length, we take the 2 separate sides of the strings, 4 in one hand and 4 in the other, 4 short, 3 short and 1 long, and we tie a double knot, making sure to switch sides as we're tying it. And this is the part that makes the tzitzit kosher. From the Torah standpoint, we say the phrase L'shem mitzvat tzitzit. And here, that's using the second side now, we want to make the knot just tight enough so that it lightly pinches the material, but not too much. Again, we can check to make sure that we have our strings relatively the same length, which we do. And then at the bottom of the 4 short strings, we do another slip knot over here. And again, if you can't do a slip knot, a regular loose knot is fine as long as we can undo it later at the end. The purpose for that is twofold. Number one, the shamash, the long string, has to stay in the same set of 4 that it was always. And number 2, when we're tying our knots later and we're doing one side over the other side and reversing them, it's going to be much easier for us to remember which side we did if we have one side with the knot and one side with the shamash. Once we have that in place, we are going to next do the tying. And to do the tying, what we do is we take the 7 short strings, the 4 from one side and 3 from the other side. We hold them all together, and the other string, the shamash, we loop around the tzitzit 7 times. Sometimes it's easier to use a book. If you don't have a book, you can use your arm as a base for that, giving you some tension on your shirt so it's easier to tie your strings. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to do 1 loop, a 2nd loop, a 3rd loop, and we're going to go all the way to 7. We have 4, 5, 6, and 7. Here we have the strings separated. We just want to make sure that they're tight. We can recount them again to make sure we have 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. We're missing 1 here. 7, and that sometimes happens because here it'll wind around, and that's okay. We just have to make sure we have the 7. Once we're sure we have the 7, just slide everything up into the knot, making sure that they're tight enough not to overlap the knot, and we have our spiral of 7 rings. Once we have the spiral of 7 rings, we take the side with the knot in one hand, we take all 4 of the other strings, the 3 short ones and the shamash, and over here we tie another double knot just like we did before. 1, and now the other side, 2, and we have our first quarter of this tying done. So here you have your 2 knots and your 7 rings. The next step is to do exactly the same process, this time doing 8 rings instead of 7. So we're going to do, again, the first half ring doesn't count. We're going to do 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 8. And again, we have here some space. We're going to count them again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Again, we spun around here, so we're going to do another 8. Slide them up into the knot. Again, making sure they're nice and tight so that they don't slide around or move around, because we're going to take our knot on one side and all of our other strings, the 3 short and 1 long, including the shamash, on the other side. And we're going to do another double knot. This continues after 7 and 8 to doing exactly the same process with 11 rings and then 13 rings. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and again we'll count them to make sure. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, and 11. And we'll see again, those numbers keep shrinking because we keep twisting up over here. That's okay. We're now back at 11. Slide them back up into the knot. Take the side with the knot in one hand. All the other strings on the other side. And again, we do a double knot. Making sure the knots are tight enough that the rings don't slide around. And one last time to make 13. One, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And again, we'll count them. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, and 13. And we slide them back up into the knot. Grab the side with the knot. It's going to be much shorter now because we've used up a lot of that string. We take the side with the shamash on the other side. We do our double knot again. And once we're finished with that, we undo our strings. Try to adjust the length a little bit so that they come out even. And there we go.